So what are you going to do through your value selling program? Excuse me. There are three main areas I would ask you to focus on. And indeed, our program to support you is focused on these exact same three. The first is about skills. How confident are you to engage the way that we are talking today? How confident are you to not only say, tell me about your business, wouldn't you like to buy this solution? But instead to go and say, let's quantify the issues that you've got in your business and make sure that there is value for you in buying a solution from us. That doesn't need any tools or any flash support. That needs confidence and an ability to approach the customer in a value-based manner. But the second area is about tools, because building a business case quite often involves multiple different benefits and pulling them all together in a way that can derive a significant benefit to the organisation. Maybe just that reduction in stock for our trading company is not enough. Maybe they need 3 or 4 of these to be identified before the solution will pay for itself. And this is where tools can come in. Likewise, in the lead generation arena, to be able to engage on value, you need an offer. And so in the more complex and sophisticated and upper mid-market, you might have tools like the outside-in approach, which our value engineers use. In the mid-sized companies, then you've got tools like the enterprise health check, and you'll hear more about these tools in subsequent videos. But the enterprise health check allows you to, as the name suggests, look at the financial well-being of a company by comparing it to a set of its peers. These are examples of the tools. But the third thing we all know about the SME market is that reference-based selling is absolutely key. And as a consequence, what we need is to generate a set of references that don't just say, we bought this SAP Business All-in-One solution from partner XYZ because it looked like a good idea. We need to be able to say in these references, I bought this solution because I had these pains which were costing me X, and what the solution has been able to do is rectify those and mean that cost has been taken out of my business, or that I've been able to generate an extra 10% of revenues. So this is where the concept of our reference now needs to change, and we ask you to work very closely with us to make sure that we're building up this library of meaningful references that go into a value-based statement. And quite clearly, from adopting these in different ways, depending on the markets you serve, if you're selling regularly to smaller businesses, you don't need the same level of sophistication that you might need if you're selling to some of the upper mid-market. But the combination that's right for you and your market will positively impact your close rate. It will positively impact your ability to get onto the right business. And combined, it's the benefit that you will get from adopting a value selling approach. So I just want to cover off some of the key elements within those three areas. From a knowledge perspective, clearly you need to understand something about finance. You need to understand the business ratios that are important to the type of company you sell to. If it's a trading organisation, as we saw earlier, things like warehouse stock turns might be important. If it's other types of organisation, perhaps professional services, they don't have a warehouse, so that KPI is irrelevant. But they might well have other things that they need to measure, like utilisation of staff and the number of hours billed and what that means to the business. And if you can improve the number of hours billed, that would be their equivalent. So understand finance, the language of business, but understand how it relates to the markets that you serve. And you can see here why focus becomes important, because you cannot Understand all of these for every market. Understand the ones the markets you serve. Then from a skills perspective, look at how you skill up so that not only do you understand the mechanics of the KPI, but are you confident having the discussion with the people in the prospect's business? Can you talk an executive conversation rather than an operational conversation? Remembering that in SME quite often you've got one person who has to wear both hats. The managing director and owner of the business might have to think strategically on occasions, but on other occasions he might be in there trying to sort out a particular issue on the shop floor with the machinery because that's his background. So make sure you've got the person in the right mindset, but then have the conversation at a different level. That's two areas, and the third area then is tools. But this is very much of latter importance. This is firstly about a culture and approach. And I would also like to remind you at this stage that value selling is not something that just happens at the end. It's really important that what we're doing throughout the marketing, sales, customer engagement life cycle is building up for the point at which a customer places an order and a contract. Absolutely, you're a salesperson. That is of central importance. But you have to get them there. And getting them there is not about doing lots and lots and lots of different things and then at the very end creating a business case which tries to prove value. Because will they believe your figures? Will they believe your approach? So you need to unwind and take this back to the beginning of the sales engagement. Marketing. Marketing to suspects. What messages are you sending out? Again, if you remember our point about customer references, you could send out information about how well you've addressed the market previously with different customers. As you start to build a campaign where you want people to engage, you can then look at things like benchmarking. Send out information about the industry and where you think this customer or this business is now. Or you turn it on its head and make this an offer. Say, we would really like to come and do a detailed benchmarking study with you. We don't want to make any assumptions. We want to come and get your actual numbers and your figures, of course, under non-disclosure. And then we will compare those real numbers with the real numbers that we've got in our references information. Or you may do a study of 15 companies that are all like each other and offer them the opportunity to come together as a community. Many businesses are looking for this now, but they don't know how to come together as a community. Here's a huge opportunity for you to drive, to become a thought leader for an industry in your country. Once you've got through the door, then we've talked about provocative selling. We've talked about pushing an issue, making sure that people really can appreciate the value in a particular area of what you can offer. Changing your sales process early on also means working with your pre-sales team to make sure that instead of them just going out and looking at the business and deciding what they're going to put into their demo based on the functionality they can see the business requires, they should now also be doing a value-based discovery, not only looking for the pain, but looking for the associated value. So when they come to identifying the components that are important, they're hitting the main pain points. When they come to delivering the actual solution demonstration, they're not just demoing software functionality, but they're positioning why that functionality is going to make a difference, and crucially, what that difference is in monetary terms. And when you've gone through all of this cycle, the customer, the prospect, is now starting to warm to your whole value-based approach. So now, when you put a business case in front of them that has quantified each of their pains and each of the implications, each of the financial benefits, they will feel comfortable with that, and they will understand that you have done the right level of diligence in coming up with that proposal. So this is now your business case. This is the point at which you hopefully have impressed them enough to be able to close the deal. But don't forget that value selling doesn't just end at the contract. For many of you, maybe it does, but it's also got a bit on the end. Those references. Those references only really come about when the customer has gone through their implementation and have come out the other end and you've been able to quantify the business benefit that they have got. So stay on top of the case, make sure you get those, what we would refer to as business transformation studies, done, and then they feed right back in at the beginning of your sales process, and you can use those to help bring other prospects through the cycle